Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of NinaRibena's Art Journal Prompts and More. It's week 3 of this month's Inspired by Prompt, and the challenge this week is flowers. I've chosen 4 more artists for you to research and hopefully be inspired by, and this week they are Monet, Georgia O'Keeffe, Yvonne Coomber and Heidi Reil. Yvonne Coomber and Heidi Reil are modern day artists. So have a look and see, who you fancy working with this week. I know that several of you this month have been doing several pieces based on, lots of the artists that have been recommended. Now, I've opted for Heidi Reil this week to be inspired by. Heidi was actually recommended by Elaine Gardner, one of the admins in our group. I just love the style of these flowers, very watercolory, although Heidi uses watered down acrylic paints to create hers. I'm going to be using alcohol inks to do both pieces. I'm doing 2 pieces this week. My second piece is very similar to this piece here because I had an idea as to how I could create these flowers. My first piece is just trying to get the general look. I'm not trying to copy any particular style as such. I'm just trying to get the style, the look. So I'm going to do a voiceover now over my video, and I will catch you at the end. Now I'm right-handed, so I've got my fat straw in my left hand and my alcohol ink in my right hand, and I'm using denim to start off with. And if you notice, I draw the alcohol ink in an upward line and then blow with my straw. And I'm just establishing the pattern of my flower, the shape of my flower to start off with. And then next, I reach for some aqua. Just to lighten things slightly, and I do the same thing, just drawing that alcohol ink upwards and blowing with my straw, and this adds some lightness to the base of the flower. Now, I absolutely love the way that this looks at the moment, but I do want to add some brightness to my flower. So I'm just repeating the process with some raspberry ink just to brighten things up a little bit. Just drawing that alcohol ink upwards again in that motion and then blowing with my straw. And then finally, I top it off with another layer of the aqua, just to tone it down a little bit and just bring back some of that lightness. To create the base of my flower, I'm using some green. The shade is lettuce, and I just draw a V and blow upwards really quickly just to blend. Then I add a very small amount of blending solution just below where I've added that green and blow upwards, and it just blends everything absolutely beautifully. It just looks gorgeous. Alcohol ink has a tendency to spread uncontrollably. It has a mind of its own, and so for the stem of my flower I've opted to use an alcohol marker. The blending solution at the top of the flower wasn't quite dry, so I just zap it with the heat tool before finishing the stem off. Now, please be warned, if you are using a heat tool with either Yupo paper or the reverse side of photo paper, make sure that you have it on a very low setting because it will blister and bubble your paper if you hold it there for too long on too high a setting. I'm putting a very small drop of lettuce alcohol ink onto a piece of palette paper, and using a very fine paintbrush I'm just going over the top of that alcohol marker just to add a bit of shading to my stem. decided to use these Craft Tea metallic rub-ons for my background. Alcohol ink has a tendency to spread uncontrollably, and I didn't want to run the risk of the alcohol blending into my flower and spoiling it, so I've opted to use these metallic rub-ons. I tested some Inca Gold, and that didn't work on the reverse side of photo paper, but these work beautifully. Cream eyeshadow would be a good alternative for you to use. These are still available on Amazon. They're between £4 and £5 per set on in the UK, and you ladies in the US might be able to get hold of these more cheaply because they are an American product. But I just blend with my finger. I'm using three colours. I'm using plum, blue and the pink, and I just build up the layers until I'm happy with the coverage. I'm using the pink and the plum in the centre and the blue in the corners, just to add a bit of colour to my background. And I just decide to finish my piece off by adding a few splatters, firstly using isopropyl alcohol, and then I decide to bring in some wild plum as well to add some more colour to the background. Now for my second Heidi Reil inspired piece, I decide to use a couple of different sized fan brushes. I've got three colours of alcohol ink on my plate. I've got wild plum, black and then a white mixative, and I'm just dipping my fan brush into the inks to form a flower shape. I'm using it both on the flat and also on the side as well to create the points. And I just love the texture that the fan brush gives to these flowers. And I'm just using some of the white mixative and the black just to add a few highlights and details to my flowers. I'm using my green Pro Marker pen again to draw in my stems and just add a couple of leaves. Now again, as in the previous piece, I just want to add some splatters to my page. So I've just pulled out some more of that white mixative and some of the raspberry colour, and I'm just using my fan brush to apply some splatters to the page. And I noticed that in Heidi's artwork as well, she also sort of adds splatters in her artwork too, so I feel that this is in keeping. Now I just want to darken these leaves slightly, so I've poured a little bit of lettuce onto a piece of palette paper, and I'm just darkening the leaves slightly. And again, I'm using the metallic rub-ons just to create my background for this piece, just blending these in with my finger. I'm using the same three colours, the plum, the pink, and a little bit of the blue, which I just used around the flowers themselves. And again, I just build the colours until I'm happy with the coverage. Again, I'm using a paper towel as well, because these are prone to fingerprints, and I do end up spraying both pieces with a spray fixative as well. So here's my two finished pieces of artwork inspired by Heidi Reil. I'm really pleased with how these have turned out. I have sealed them. I've used the Rust-Oleum Crystal Clear with the matte finish because of course these metallic rub-ons, in fact it wasn't that set I used, it was this set here, are water reactive and of course, you know, are prone, as you could see during the video, are prone to fingerprints as well, and that was why I was using a piece of napkin just to protect the page from fingerprints as I was applying the background. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's video. I look forward to seeing how everybody else decides to interpret the prompt this week. So just to recap, we're doing flowers this week, and the four artists I've chosen are Monet, Georgia O'Keeffe, Yvonne Coomber and Heidi Reil. So go and do some research, have a look at their artwork and you know, see who you fancy interpreting this week. And of course, if you enjoyed enjoyed my video, as always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up because it just lets YouTube know that you like what I'm doing. And let me know what you think in the comments below. And take care, everyone. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.